Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our small business virtual town hall. I'm Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor of the state of Rhode Island. And I think that you'll feel as though that the content of our program today is going to be very, very helpful to the small businesses and all those people who are associated with trying to make sure that our economy is opening and it's alive and well. As I always have started, make sure that we're following the rules. Make sure we're following the face mask rules. We're following the hand sanitizers, social distancing. That's critical, and we need to make sure that we're diligent on that, and we're not easing up on the need to do that. So follow the rules. Otherwise, our economy is not going to open up the way that we want. Today, we're very fortunate to have Secretary Stefan Pryor join us. We're going to talk about the small business grant program and also, the ideas that the coalition has regarding, having the state provide help to our small businesses. So our coalition members will be on as well. Along with the SBA, the DLT on unemployment issues, and Director Tanner on the DBR issues. And then we're going to end the program with a subset of businesses that have to do with the nursing homes and some of the concerns that they have and the struggles that they're having as well. So please listen in. Our idea and the petition's idea that we delivered to the governor was more aggressive than we are in phase one, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to be adding to the $50 million grants, get it closer to $125 million, and trying to spread that out across the state in a proportionate way so every community, all 39 cities and towns, benefit from that. But we're going to hear more from Secretary Pryor about the launch that happened yesterday. And we're encouraging every business, every small business, to do the pre-application so that we're all aware of the demand that's out there. We know there's a big demand, and you're not going to know whether you qualify for these grants unless you do get into that first phase. If you have any questions, of course, you can call our office, and you can call Commerce's office as well, but our office is 222-2371. And this grant program, very important as a first step in to provide some revenue, some resources that's allowable through our federal funding, which of that $1.25 billion. So, Ben, I'm not sure that the secretary's here. If he is, please, see if we can bring him on. If not, we'll head to Mark Hayward. And
I'm on the phone right now with his office. We're going to bring on Mark Hayward
all right
now.
Let's bring on Mark on, and then we'll get to the secretary. Great. Mark, I like the face mask. What's on there? Is that the Yankees?
Oh, that's Pawtucket Country Club.
Ah, that's the Pawtucket Country Club. That's great. That's great. I didn't get mine. Yeah. Did you get that in the mail or what?
No, I got that from Mike. Gelinas.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
So that's number 3, Governor. So you had Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
And that was first, and then we had the New England Patriots. That was second. Pawtucket Country Club is third. I have more.
So. You have more. Well, I tell you, I really like the reinforcing this notion that it's not a heavy lift to follow the rules to get this economy going. And boy, we just got to do it.
Yep. I was mentioning on the last show that we had, I leave one in the office. I always have one in my glove compartment in the car, and I carry 2 on me, and I have extras at home, just in case I get somewhere and I forget. I always have one that's around that I know I can use.
Yeah, it's such important. And then you're all in on the small businesses and the economy, and darn well that if we witnessed it last week in Rhode Island. We didn't go to phase 4 because of some of the the numbers weren't working out as well as the governor had anticipated. And we can control that. All we have to do is just follow the rules. We can actually control this and get this economy going.
Yeah, we need to. The funny thing, I was talking to somebody today, and I think what people forget is it's as simple as wash your hands. And
Yeah.
people forget all the time. Just every once in a while, just wash your hands. And then, use the mask if you're near people. If, the 6 feet apart is always, I mean, there are a lot of people in proximity with other people. I mean, if you're right in front of somebody, you should be wearing a mask. If you're 10 feet apart, well, the question is whether or not 10 feet is enough. I don't know. But I mean, just be conscious about certain things. We want to get the economy back up and running. And today, just moments ago, Governor,
Yes.
the Treasury and SBA released the Paycheck Protection Program frequently asked questions and PPP loan forgiveness. If anybody is interested, they can go to the Treasury website or the SBA website, and they can get that information. I just sent it out to our partners in each of the lending institutions, to 450 lenders across Rhode Island and nearby Massachusetts that do lending here in Rhode Island. But everybody now should have that. It's out. Having said that, everything is always subject to change. We have discussions that are ongoing between the White House, between Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, as well as the Senator McConnell has put forward the HEALS Act. They're negotiating with the House and the Senate. As part of that, there is provisions, as we talked about last week, that's very substantial, that looks at the Paycheck Protection Program, adding additional resources. In fact, I just looked at the number, and there is 128.9 billion still remaining in paycheck protection. They are adding, according to the HEALS Act, another $190 billion to that. But the criteria will change a little bit. It also talks about general forgiveness of 150,000 or less. So there are some idiosyncrasies to what they're looking at going forward. Again, it's not law until such time as the Senate and the House pass and the president signs. But my understanding is that the PPP provisions that currently have been proposed by Senator Rubio, Senator Collins, Senator Cardin, and Senator Shaheen is a bipartisan effort that they have worked on since day one on PPP. So that is continuing. Again, if people have questions, Ben just put up the Rhode Island _DO at SBA.gov. They can send us questions there. On the EIDL, EIDL is limping along slowly but surely. There are still a lot of people who are looking at EIDL. There is over $200 billion still left in the EIDL program. And no, there is no money on the advance, which is the grant side of it, but there is money on the loan program. We have been, my deputy Joan Moran and I and Matt Spare have been very busy over the last couple of days helping people who need to get into the system, people who are in the system, Governor, who are having issues with the system. If you're having an issue with EIDL, you've been denied. And I'll give you an example. I had a gentleman yesterday call me and say I was denied because of poor credit. They said my credit was 520. And he sent me an email copy of his credit, which was 700. And I said, okay, let's see if we can straighten that out. So we have sent that forward to our friends over in Disaster, and hopefully we will get that straightened out. But there's a lot of that. Remember, there's 11 million applications, so there's a lot of people working these applications, Governor. But if you got a problem, send us the issue. We'll try to resolve it.
Yeah, and again, that PPP funding is there, and I think that we really need to keep on doing exactly what you're doing, Mark. And we're trying to tell people, look, if you're looking to get involved in the PPP program, which helps you offset payroll as you're reopening. And it also is a different distribution now than originally, right? You're at a 60-40 distribution. Correct. Against payroll.
24-week period versus a 8-week period. So there's a lot of flexibility.
And what is it still the August 8th, or is that for the application time frame?
Yeah, there is only a couple of lenders right now in Rhode Island that are taking applications. If you're looking for a PPP, and we had one yesterday, we will reach out to lenders to see whether or not they will do it. If you have a banking relationship with a certain bank, we will actually reach to them to see if we can get them to do it. If they can't or they won't, then we'll reach to somebody else. But yes, August the 8th is the last day for PPP under the current statute.
Okay, and that could change, but that's what we're dealing with right now. And then
The HEALS Act, I think it takes PPP all the way until the end of the year.
okay. And then, Mark, just to go back where you started in terms of the fact that the guidelines are out for the loan forgiveness, has there been any dates that where they can open up the process to actually make the applications based on those guidelines?
Well, technically, the applications will not be accepted by the agency before the 10th of August. And I think there's a couple of reasons, Governor. One is the fact that the PPP will run out on the 8th. The second is the fact that the White House and the Senate and the House are currently negotiating what the next package will look like. We don't know if they're, and clearly there are things in the package that are going to directly impact the people who have PPP now. So I think the agency looked at the 10th as being, okay, we'll be on the 8th. Hopefully we'll have a resolution and we'll have more guidance on that. So, while these frequently asked questions have been, put out to the public today at noon, just before noontime, 11:30 is when I got them. People can go look at it, but that does not mean that they're not going to be subject to change, Governor.
Yeah, and then we just want to let the businesses know. I think I think you said we had close to a couple thousand PPP loans in Rhode Island, right? In that range?
We have 17,940, I believe, the last time I saw. And of those 17,940, that's approximately $2 billion of PPP loans here in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
The other thing, Governor, go ahead.
Yep. There's an anticipation on that 17,000 as to, when they're going to be actually, getting an answer on whether they did it right. And most of them have, especially if they're under the $150,000 threshold.
I've been asking the banks, what do you think the percentage of portfolio is under 150? And I have been told that of those 17,000, probably 15,000 are 150 or less.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Anything else? And then something.
I would like to
opine
on the Ben. Hi, Ben. It's always great to see you, Ben.
I know you're afraid of me. Go ahead.
I know you got a question, but I want to opine on the Restore Rhode Island and just recommend to people, listen, grant money doesn't come around very often. While we'd all like to see a lot more of that grant money from the CARES Act, listen, you got $100 million set aside for Restore Rhode Island and other programs. Apply for it. If you don't apply, you can't be denied. If you don't apply, you can't be approved. So take the time. We certainly have people that are currently helping people apply for it. So I just want to encourage people to do that. Okay, Ben, what do you got for me?
Some of these questions may not be for you, and maybe they are. How come sole proprietor and S corps with one or less employees are excluded?
That'll be for the secretary.
That's what I thought. Okay,
yeah,
I've repeatedly tried to submit step 1 for Restore RI, but it doesn't appear to go through.
That's the secretary.
All right, we are very excited to get. And where is Diane's? Diane's is here. Mark, did you say the most they will forgive for the PPP is 150,000?
No, that's not what I said. What I said was in the bill that's currently being, and remember, it's not approved yet. But what the recommendation from Senators Rubio, Collins, Shaheen, and Cardin was loans that are 150,000 and less would get automatic forgiveness.
Okay.
You would still have to provide some documentation in case the agency had to go back to edit for fraud, to audit for fraud. But basically that's what's being looked at. No, if you had a $10 million loan, that's eligible for forgiveness depending upon how you spent it.
Thank you so much, Mark. I just want to say again, this is the email address for the SBA. And as always, if you have questions that you want the Lieutenant Governor's office to help you direct you to the DLT, to the SBA, to the DBR, any of these organizations, please, or departments, please email, and Shay will get back to you as soon as possible and connect you to the right people. So
one last thing, Governor, before am I going to get cut, Ben?
No,
you're good, man.
Ben's
you're
not
good.
cutting you.
This is your show.
We also want to, because we've been following the tropical storm up the coast, and probably between 3 and 6, Governor, it's going to get a little dicey around here. SBA again is first responder. We're already responding in the south, but we just want people to be cognizant. There have been a lot of tornadoes, and from North Carolina, Maryland, Virginia on up. That's, we don't want to add to our problems, but we just want to make sure that people are cognizant of what's going on as a first responding federal agency in disasters. So we do a lot of stuff here.
You
Governor.
do a lot of stuff, and we can't lose sight of the fact that we're certainly obsessed and focused totally on the COVID-19, but the world goes on and other things happen. And we've been involved with the emergency management about preparing for these storms, and their work continues as well. So I know the SBA helps out many businesses. You stepped in on Sandy back 10 years ago, especially down in the Westerly market where Ben is from. So yes.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that under a presidentially declared disaster, we also come in for homeowners. So, I mean, we have a lot of different functions depending upon what kind of disaster we have. COVID's very special, and under normal circumstances, we would have not been involved. But everything was opened up. The legislation, the CARES Act, really provided us with a tremendous amount of leeway, Governor. And I think getting the money out to the small business community is really key. It's still a liquidity issue. It remains a liquidity issue for the small business community. The one thing that continues to resonate with me personally is when I went before the Chairman Amore in the Small Business Committee in the House with Dale Venturini and David LaHouse and Kristen from Chez Pascal. When they asked David LaHouse, what do you fear most? He said was rain. Because again, I mean, these are the kind, small businesses are trying to morph. But to think, that really hit me, because you don't think of a restaurateur saying, I'm concerned about rain, because their business right now, Governor, is outside for the most part. And with the little rollback that we had, the governor looking at all the numbers, I mean, she gave a reasonable explanation for why we had to do that. And that impacts our restaurateurs. We need to support, again, I said this last week when we were on, order from a restaurant, order takeout. If they have, seating capacity and you can go. Support our local retailers. They are the engine which really fuels the economy here in the state of Rhode Island.
Yes, those are good words, Mark. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for bringing on new masks, and we'll look forward to next week. What you're going to wear next week?
You'll have another one next
Mark
week.
Go or what?
I'm gonna let Mark go. Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
See you, Mark.
I just wanted to let you know we have Secretary Pryor next, and then I did want to let everybody know, because we have a lot of questions coming in today. So I wanted to let everybody know Matt is usually in the next spot. We're bringing Secretary Pryor on right now. And then, so all of the questions that you have right now for DLT and unemployment, we're going to get to those as well as ask your questions right now to Secretary Pryor. So here you go.
Secretary, welcome.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Good to be with you.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for taking the time, and thanks for all the work that you've been doing, over the last several weeks, because I know you're all in on getting our economy and as strong as it can be, and actually make it even stronger than when, prior to the COVID hit us.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to be on your show, and I thank the Small Business Coalition that you have helped to develop for all of your advocacy and your work. We have done a lot to try to make sure that we have the strongest possible economy. We've seen a lot of progress. Rhode Island has been among the very first states in the Northeast to reopen. There's no substitute for actually allowing businesses to operate, especially small businesses. We can do all of the grant investing that we can, and we can do all of the loan administration that we can muster. But the truth is, we've got to have commerce flowing. We've got to have customers buying. And that's what we've been striving to do. So under Governor Raimondo and with all of the elected officials of our state, we have been making sure that Rhode Island stays safe by adhering to public health guidance, and we've been the first to reopen restaurants outdoors, restaurants indoors, retail, to let certain personal services companies open, to make sure that we're supporting the whole array of personal services professionals, and gyms and fitness centers and the like. All have been open for longer than our nearby states because we got open sooner, and we've been keeping safe in accordance with guidance that will keep both customers and personnel safe. So that's been really, really important. We've also, Lieutenant Governor, as you know extremely well, and you've been helping to publicize this, from the very earliest days, we've made access to the federal programs possible. Mark Hayward has been terrific, and we've worked closely with him. We created an early bridge program to that EIDL loan program at the federal level. We created a window to PPP for unbanked businesses using Goldman Sachs money and a special relationship with lenders that would actually bank such small businesses. We've handed out free PPE all over Rhode Island. We've offered free laptops by the hundreds, thanks to a donation from Microsoft. We've done all of that, reopened faster, kept as many businesses open as humanly possible, kept everyone safe, and made investments, as I've described. But now it's time to offer grants as well, as you have rightly advocated, and as we at Commerce have also advocated, and as our governor has strongly supported. So it's time to do it.
Yeah, and so that's what I really wanted to focus on today, because that seems to be the the topic of the moment, because you just opened up a portal on Restore Rhode Island yesterday afternoon, and in the process you also. So I thought maybe you could highlight the grant program, the technology piece that's in there, as well as the loan piece. Tell us what's appropriated for each one, and then just communicate to the people that are watching this, and then many thousands are going to watch this over the next couple days. So that's the advice that you give them is important as well in terms of interacting with Commerce right now, which is like you've just outlined, and we have always acknowledged that we got to follow the rules, we got to follow the governors and Dr. Scott and everybody that's working on the health issues. Follow those rules, otherwise the economy is not going to follow. And then Commerce is a great tool. It has been in the past. Will be going forward. So tell us what's in their grant program. Pre-application strategy, application strategy, timeline there. Then we'll talk a little about the technology monies that are available, and then the loan program that's inside of that $100 million.
Absolutely. So the main thing to focus upon right now, if you're a small business, is the $50 million program that's called Restore RI. It's aimed at helping businesses restore themselves to strength, get going again, get paid back for some of the expenses that they've had to undertake, like plexiglass or new outdoor furniture for a business, whatever the case may be. So that's Restore RI. And Lieutenant Governor, you're exactly right that yesterday, as promised, we opened up the opportunity for businesses to do a pre-qualification submission to the Restore RI program. The application process is in 2 stages. First, there is a pre-qualification submission where a business fills out certain basic information, and that goes to our processor, which is a group called CRF. They were one of the lenders that helped us get businesses to PPP in Rhode Island, including unbanked businesses. Very heavy focus on small businesses, and they have a proven platform for these purposes. So CRF is who you'll connect to. All the information you need is on commerceri.com, the website commerceri.com. Go there and you'll see the information that you as a small business need to prepare to apply. You can first go through that first stage of pre-qualification, get that in. We've already had a number of businesses do that overnight. And now no one should panic. No one should feel severely rushed. We have seen over 850 applications through that pre-qualification stage so far. That's a good number. We're pleased that people are responding, but The money has not run out. There is plenty left, and these are just the pre-qualification. After businesses do that pre-qual stage, they'll get basically an email invitation. They'll get the application link sent to them by our partner CRF, and then the business goes through that. Now, let me say a few things about how the program works, just generally speaking, Governor.
Yep.
First of all, the amounts vary depending upon the number of employees and the amount of revenue loss a business has experienced. Those are the main factors. There are others. So if you have more employees, eligible for more grant money. If you lost more revenue, or if you're in a more severely impacted industry, like one that was closed, restaurants, there's a whole array of them, then they're eligible for greater amounts, all the way up to $15,000 per business. We have a grant calculator on our website, so you can go on and get an estimate you might be eligible for upon your own read of what's in our eligibility criteria. So go onto the website, and we also have, Lieutenant Governor, some mini videos that my colleagues Matt Sheaf and Hannah Moore have recorded. They've gone ahead and given you like little instructional YouTube. That's first an overview of how to apply, and then they start to dig in on certain factors like how to use that grant calculator. I recommend that businesses gear up by going on the website, try to get your information together that you're going to need. And Lieutenant Governor, because of federal requirements, there are requirements. There are income tax returns that need to be submitted. There needs to be an explanation of revenue loss, documents regarding revenue loss. And for some businesses getting more than $5,000, they have to show expenses. All of it is laid out in heavy detail. There are also certain requirements to get any federal grant if you're a business, like a DUNS number, DUN number. That's explained on our website. And for those who've already applied for PPP, much of this is stuff you've already done. So if you have a file of what you submitted for PPP, that might be a great way to get started in getting ready for this one, because you're probably going to use a lot of that information for this program.
And that done number, which is a requirement, if they don't have one, they can apply for one and get one with just a few days, right?
Within just a couple days.
Yes.
Make sure that you specify that you're applying for a federal grant. There's an option that pertains to U.S. federal grants. That gets you your number faster.
Yeah, and then just as Mark Hayward said, he's prepared to help out, just like your office helped out with the PPP, and our office helped many businesses with that. You know, there's many players here that are willing to direct our businesses that qualify for this $50 million to access those dollars. So, you know, my advice would be to be contacting Commerce and also contacting our office or any of the organizations. You have a number of organizations too, right, Stefan, that are trying to facilitate
Yes, we do.
and to provide information. Maybe you could share a couple of those that you're partnering with right now.
Absolutely. You're on one of the most important points. We welcome working with your office. Your office is a pleasure to work with. Feel free to send information our way, and we'll always collaborate with you. We have several organizations that are officially working with us around this program to help tutor businesses, guide businesses, help businesses. And those include the Rhode Island Hospitality Association. And I want to note that if you're a restaurant, a caterer, a hotel, or another organization within hospitality, there's a workshop tomorrow at 10 a.m. And there's another one Thursday at 9:30 a.m. conducted by the Hospitality Association. All you have to do is go on the commerceri.com website, thecommerceri.com, and you'll see it. If you go under resources and materials and do the drag down, you'll see is something partner organizations. So it's commerceri.com, go to resources and materials, click and get partner organizations, and you'll see a whole array of them. You're right, Lieutenant Governor. So Hospitality Association has those. Also have in-person assistance by appointment. In person, you can actually sit down socially distanced, and let's say that you don't have a scanner or you need help of that kind. There's a few different ways that we can about. The Commerce Organization can help you. If you're in that boat and you don't even know how to get information in digitally, you didn't do PPP, you just have your own phone to work with, and you don't have the ability to scan documents in, reach out to commerceri.com, information on our website, or email info@commerceri.com, info@commerceri.com, and we'll help you out through that email. Also, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has a grant application workshop tomorrow at 6 p.m., and they have personalized service, including one-on-one counseling, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You get the idea, Lieutenant Governor. SCORE is offering technical assistance to help answer questions. You can make an appointment with a mentor by visiting the Commerce RI website, commerceri.com. And we are offering those in-person sessions that I was describing from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So check out that page if you're a small business. You have a lot of choices. There may be associations you're most familiar with that you want to work with. Great. We set it up so you can, or you can go directly to Commerce.
Yeah, let's put a little little monkey on the back of the small businesses to actually participate, and we encourage them to do that, because not only whether they qualify or they don't qualify, look, that debate's going to continue, and our office is going to be advocating for more dollars in, Secretary, in terms of making sure that there's more and more businesses that benefit. But right now, there's $50 million. We want to get that out the door as quickly as possible, unless we really collaborate with Commerce and the other groups that you just mentioned, along with our office, Mark Hayward, the SBA. We're going to be slow to get that out, and that's not going to help our economy. So, and we know these grants too, Stefan, are not like the be all and end all of the needs that these businesses have. I think that you've been very upfront about it. We have as well. It buys time, but time's important right now. And this will allow businesses to buy some time. I got one question on the 1,500. Could you just kind of explain? Is the 1,500 that you're kind of like the first phase of the number of businesses? Is that on the pre-app or is that on the final app?
It's on the pre-app.
Okay.
So how we're going to allow a first round, so that we can make sure that we get them through smoothly and that we're on pace, and we can open up it again, because we don't want businesses to wait too long. But let me say this about that. You're exactly right, Lieutenant Governor. The responsibility is with all of us to make sure that this moves smoothly. The number one variable in how fast this business is how ready they are and how complete they are when they apply. Now, I'm not saying we have to put it all on the business, not at all. That's why I described all these info systems, where there's one-on-one tutorials, there's in-person opportunities to come in and scan and get help. But the easiest way is just to go on your own computer. If you're a business, go on your computer, have your files on your income tax returns, your what you're going to file in the way of revenue demonstration documents, and also your expense receipts, which could include rent. But find all that on our website. Have that ready. Apply as completely as you. RF is a sophisticated lender that works especially with small businesses, has real expertise in it. They know it always requires back and forth. It's just always a process of dialogue with the business. So we don't expect perfection, but the more a business can submit a completed file with everything that's being asked for, the faster theirs will be processed, and the faster the whole process for everybody.
Yeah. So, Stefan, it would be great, to have yourself or, someone from your office on our call next week, give an update. I think timing's really important here, and continually updates in this process are going to be important, so that if the first 1,500 that get in the queue on the pre-application, there's going to be a process there, and then you probably have some idea of when it gets reopened again to take maybe the next 1,500 or whatever it might be, because I know there's going to be thousands of businesses that are going to be, anxious to get some answers. Yes. So I'd love to have you come back. I want to just bring Chris Priestley. You've met with Chris. He's kind of heading the, some of the small business coalition on. I just wanted to, just make sure that everybody knows that we are communicating. Stefan, you and I have had several conversations. You've reached out to Chris as well. And so, Chris, just share like a 30-second, 45-second of where you are with Stefan, so we can have that with the secretary. And then, we're not going to answer all the questions today. I would just say to everybody who's watching and listening to this, get the questions into us. We're definitely going to get back to you, and this process is going to be ongoing. But Chris, go ahead, please. Just thank the secretary for being here and for the activity of getting this $50 million out. And then, our hope is that we'll have more coming down the line. But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, certainly, Secretary Pryor. We appreciate you reaching out to the coalition earlier, and we've had a few conversations beforehand, listening to us, and made some changes to the program based on the feedback. So we really do appreciate what you're doing. We know this is a situation that no one's asked to be in, but we're in it, and we're all trying to do what we can to survive and thrive. A lot of questions are being asked. Obviously, go to commerceri.com, folks, for any of these questions. You can email them as well at info@commerceri.com. But there is one thing I do want to point out, because it's our most common question we do get, and that's why sole proprietors with no employees are not included. We have dance studios that have 1099s, but they're under 15 hours a week. We have many examples of that, and although we have a huge list of questions, for the sake of time, I'll just ask one. And if you could just touch upon why sole proprietors are not included in this initial round.
Uh-oh. I think we might have lost Stefan.
I think we froze him with that question.
Oh no. Well, that is unfortunate. Let me try to get him on again.
We'll see if we can bring him back in, Ben.
Yeah. We'll try to bring him back in. Absolutely.
If he comes back in, we'll bring Chris back on. But yeah, again, if we're not able to get the secretary, I'm sure that either him or he'll have somebody from his office on next week with us, because this is going to be a ongoing discussion, Chris. So if Stefan comes back on, we'll bring you back on, Chris. If not, we're up against the clock a little bit here, and we want to keep everything moving along. So let's bring on Matt Weldon on the DLT. I'm sure he's got a face mask, and if he does have one, no, good. He does. Oh my God! Hold on a second here. Hold on.
I always seem to make him run away.
You do, Matt. You do.
I know. I have that effect on people.
Yeah, and I want to let everybody know. I know there are tons and tons and tons of questions that people have asked for Secretary Pryor. We will try to get to that as soon as we can. And Matt, we got a ton of questions for you too, so beware.
All right.
Okay, so
So I just have the simple face mask here. They all work. I don't have any fancy ones today, but they all work. There you go. They all work. Use them. Okay, Matt, give us a quick overview.
Very quickly, in the interest of time, Governor. 369,883 claims have been filed. A number of those are going to be duplicate claims that are people filing claims because they haven't heard or they're not sure what to do. I'm imploring everyone to stop doing that. If you have an active claim and a confirmation number, I know it's a challenge right now to get in touch with us. We will return your call. We will get in touch with you. But every time you ask again, it adds to the list. So that number should probably be significantly lower, but it's artificially inflated. And then some of those are obviously going to be the fraud claims that we spoke about as well. But we have to cull through all of those to get to the people that actually need help. And so I'm asking you for your patience, and please do not keep filing claims if you can at all help it. 154,000 of those are the pandemic unemployment assistance. We did see an uptick in those recently. We do believe that a good number of those were fraudulently filed, and we are dealing with those, working closely with the state police to make sure that we can protect the trust fund. And those pandemic claims are coming straight from the federal government, so we have to work closely with the U.S. Department of Labor and the U.S. Attorney's Office to make sure that we're protecting the integrity of the program. This money is meant for people that are out of work. We know there's a great deal of them that are participating in these sessions every week. It's been a great vehicle to get information out. We are doing our best to be mindful of protecting the integrity of the program to make sure it's there for you when you need it. We did pay 116,981 people last week. So So there's still an awful lot of people that are collecting unemployment insurance. And since the beginning of the pandemic, 229,153 claims were approved. So that'll tell you that that's a great number of claims that went through. All that to say that we remain incredibly busy. I can read in the comments, although I can't comment there, so I didn't reply to anyone. I know you're looking for help. I know the Lieutenant Governor's office reaches out to me regularly, and I do my best when I can to get back to them and to connect people with the benefits that they're waiting for. There is a question that came in, and I saw something about bus drivers from Cranston. Just because there were so many comments on it, I'm going to comment quickly. I don't know the status of the drivers in Cranston. I can't get into that on a call like this. I will, however, follow up offline. If you can pass your information to ltgov20@gmail.com, then they will get it to me quickly, and we'll figure it out. Some districts use district employees, which complicates it in between school terms. School years are a set amount of time, and in between those school years, typically you can't collect unemployment insurance. I'm not sure how the bus drivers in Cranston would operate. I know other districts where they're contracted employees, they can. Governor, that will just for a snapshot of the complexities of the unemployment program. And
Yeah, and they're going to get more complicated because the $600 gone. Congress hasn't really decided what the heck they're going to do, whether they're going to advance the stipend or whether they're going to include an additional unemployment. So, yeah, I think the pressure is going to mount, Matt, and we need to be, people that are out there. We understand that there's pressure out there, and we just got to be very respectful of Matt and DLT because they are dealing with these one-on-ones and trying to get answers. And I would just say that because I had the question last week: if you weren't laid off, could you collect unemployment? The expectation out there is unrealistic in some cases, and so we got to make sure that we follow through on everything and get everybody an answer, Matt.
And absolutely, and I think the best way right now, Governor, is through your leadership and through this email address, ltgov20.
Yep.
Your office can keep in touch with me daily. I'm available 7 days a week, and I will do my best to get back to them. And they're very good at following up. So we'll make sure that we get through to everybody that reaches out. I'm glad you mentioned the 600. We've tweeted it. We've put it out. There's been news stories. Your payments that you requested this week, beginning Sunday and through next Saturday, will not include the 600. It'll just be your regular unemployment benefit rate. And I know that's far less than you've grown accustomed to. And I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. Congress has not finalized a plan. Last week we spoke about a potential option, has not been finalized. That's not because of the congressional delegation that we have. I think we're probably the luckiest state in the country because we have 4 members that are very hardworking and push very hard to ensure that you are get the benefits you're entitled to. But they're in a logjam right now in Washington. And until something happens, there's nothing that DLT or the governor's office or Commerce or the lieutenant governor's office can do to get you the extra $600. It's a federal program. That money was meant to be a stimulus, and it was meant to be attached to unemployment payments. If there's no unemployment payment, there was no $600. And if they don't extend it, then all we can do is give you your regular benefit amount. And I'm sorry for that, and we know it's causing a hardship. Hopefully they get things resolved in Washington soon.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, once they get things resolved, Matt, then we can kind of put our heads together and give the best advice possible based on a longer term strategy, because until you actually know what's coming, it's difficult to give people the advice. But I do believe that this work share program is going to fit in even a more dramatic way than it has in the past to help families, get a piece of a little bit of their pay when they're working, but also still qualify for whatever unemployment benefits that become available. So, Ben, do you have any questions of Matt at the moment that you would like to throw out there? It sounds like you got a few, but and again, thank you everyone out there who's texting these questions in or going to our ltgov20@gmail.com. We will follow up. Our office follows up on every email that we get, every question that we get.
Yeah, so I just want to say, Matt, I have probably 60 questions for you, and they all are, for the most part, they all that I can see are from Cranston bus drivers, and this is so it's obviously guys, send your emails to ltgov20@gmail, and Shay will send it to Matt, and Matt will do his best offline to help you guys. And it's not lip service. I just want to say that I want to point that out. Like that, literally, they'll do everything that they can, and they'll get clarity on that. I promise. I've seen it happen, and I have no affiliation with any of you. So thank you.
Well,
really.
And Ben, I think that we got our first early call yesterday on this issue, so we are following up, and I plan to make a call into one of the representatives that did email in today, and then we'll try to get as much information as we can and be as helpful as we can. If we can make it work, we're going to try every way to make it work. And if we can't, then we got to be honest with people.
Absolutely. Matt, I have one question right here,
Sure.
just about why the 600 does not count for the last week of July. I believe
It
ended
expired
right?
it didn't expire on August 1st. It expired on week ending July 25th. That was per the United States Department of Labor. I would suggest that it began on April 1st, but they actually started paying it for a few days before that date. So my guess is when the Department of Labor put out regulations, they considered that and made it for the same length of time it was intended to be, but began it a little early and ended a little early. Again, set by the federal government and nothing that the department can do about it.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate all the work, and I know it's
Thank
going
you,
to heat
Governor.
up. It's going to heat up. We know it's going to heat up, and we're going to be, ready to do whatever we can to be helping people, because it's going to be a challenge. We know that, but it's good. It's comforting to know that you and your staff are there ready to help on these very important matters, as you have over the last several weeks. Ben?
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you, Matt.
Yes, thanks, Matt.
I'm just popping in to move things along. So we do have Secretary Pryor back, and Liz had to drop out for today.
Okay.
She's booked for the rest of it, but I did want to say that she just said, wear your mask properly. So that's a message from
Yes, that's good advice, and I've been saying that the whole show. I don't like the way that we're trending, and we need to be very, voice our, objection to anybody out there that's not following the rules. That's not going to work for us. So thank you for coming back in, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We switched devices so I could be back.
Great. Well, I think the question
trying to avoid you, wanted to stay with you.
I think the question that Chris was asking was just an explanation on sole proprietors, and they're not included in this round. Is there any expectation that they may be included as we move forward? But that was kind of the question.
Okay, no problem.
Give a little overview on that.
No problem. So actually, it's not true that sole proprietors are not included. There's a condition, but some sole proprietors are included. So when we originally rolled out the program, sole proprietors were not eligible in the $50 million program. Now we've researched as best we can what we can do with these monies and what will make sense. And what we've done is we've said that if you have even just one employee, a sole proprietor can be eligible. So all sole proprietors with one employee or more are eligible, and please apply. So we want to make sure that was true. Look, these are limited resources. This program is for any business with 1 to 20 employees. You have to focus resources somehow, and we wish we could offer money to everyone, but we had to prioritize in some way, and the way we prioritized across all business types is that we want to help businesses stay afloat, and we want to keep Rhode Islanders employed. So even if you have just one employee, you're in for this version of the program. Now, we hope that Congress comes through with yet more resources. As the governor predicted, as Governor Raimondo predicted, Congress is in a gigantic fight, I'm sure everyone's following it, around whether there'll be more resources for states for all kinds of needs, including businesses and small businesses. So we're closely following and advocating.
Great. Chris, does that answer your question?
Well, the question was not, is sole proprietors are included, and that's something that Secretary Pryor and I discussed, and that's how the creative solution of the 1099s can count as employees. The question was really more of a statement that the biggest feedback we're getting is the sole proprietors with no employees, or they have 1099 employees yet, because like a dance studio, it may be less than that 15-hour threshold. Therefore, they're not included. And what they're wondering is, why aren't we included? Is there any help for us going to come? And I think you answered that in the sense that you have limited, there's only so much that we can choose, and you're focused on the employment side in addition as well. Is that correct?
Exactly. And let me just say this, Chris. I think you lived some of this with us. You did, Chris. You did, Lieutenant Governor. We researched the handful of states that have started programs. We're still one of the first states in the country that has started a small business grant program. Most states in the U.S. have not with their CARES Act money. So we studied the handful of states that do them. None of them include 1099 employees. We are the first in the country to include 1099 employees. That's thanks to that research and your advocacy that we've decided, you know what? We don't want a professional barber or a professional nail salon that has an employee, but then includes in their chairs 1099 relationships. We don't want that shop or salon with professionals working together to be denied resources. So we're the first, to our knowledge, program in the whole country that is qualifying 1099, if you will, employees, 1099 personnel for the purpose of counting for our grant. You do have to have the one employee, and then you may qualify up to 3 1099s, first in the country to do it. So now listen, if we have a good experience with that, if it works, if the minimum hour requirements that we've established make sense, and we can go on and get more resources from the federal government, I can't make any promises because the governor also has to be mindful of the hospitals and the social services, our seniors. You get the idea. But we'd like to channel even more resources. But let's do this round right. If you are a business that has at least one employee, but also, and you're a severely impacted business, and you have 1099s, you're in for those 1099s up to 3 additional people.
Great. So
if you don't, we had a question. If you don't have 1099s, is there anything else that they can use for that?
I guess
That's
I would
one
want that.
question
I don't think I understand the question. So if you're not an employee and and you're not a 1099, I'd want that to come in as an individual question. So please go to the Commerce RI website. And if you want to contact us directly, if there's an individual business question, info@commerceri.com.
So, Secretary, thank you for being here. I got to move on to the next segment, but this is an ongoing discussion. We'll stay in contact with your office, and like I said, if you're able to come on, or you have someone from your office on, next week for an update, that would be very much appreciated. But
we'd love to do it.
Keep up the good work and get the money out as fast as we can, so that we can get into the next discussion about how we're going to help these small businesses.
Yes, sir. And if I may, on the getting the money out as fast as we can, if I can just reiterate, that's what we want to do. It's going to require work on all of our parts, including small businesses. There are documents that need to be provided to meet federal rules and reasonable rules. So please go to commerceri.com, check out the information online under Restore RI. It's the yellow banner on the top. Look at the mini videos on how to apply if you need the additional help, and then get yourself in with the pre-qualification, that stage 1 application, and then through to the full application. It's going to take work. When you get that full application, it's going to take work. Try to gear up and have all the documents available to you. We love our small businesses in Rhode Island. It's the lifeblood of our economy, and we're going to do everything we can to help you. Lieutenant Governor, thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll talk during the week, and then next week we'll get together again.
Take care now.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank you, Secretary. You bet. Ben, we're going to kind of go off script here. We're going to get into the healthcare group, the nursing home group, and the small business group. So we could bring on Scott Frazier. He's there, and Kelly Arnold and Joan Woods. Thank you for being here, Scott. We're sorry for the length of this thing, but as you can see, the complication on that small business grant program, there was a lot to discuss. But we have up as much time as you are able to. I know you might have a hard stop at 1 o'clock. But
we do.
Scott, please introduce yourself, and then Joan as well. And I think we have Kelly on the phone. But Scott, give us an introduction. And I know that we have been in discussion with recent communications from the state that was kind of hooking in the UHIP issues with the grant strategies to help these nursing homes. But give us an overview first, and then we'll get into some more detail.
Well, thank you, Governor. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here today. And yes, my name is Scott Frazier. I'm the president and CEO of the Rhode Island Healthcare Association, and We represent 64 of the 81 nursing homes in the state of Rhode Island. And with me today, I have Kelly Arnold, who's the Chief Financial Officer of Health Concepts in Rhode Island. They operate 11 homes. The homes operate independently of one another. And also Joan Woods, who is the CEO of the John Clark Retirement Center in Middletown. And yes, you talked about funding in UHIP. That's the latest issue that we have been battling the state with, quite honestly. Because of the pandemic, our homes have been in very serious financial problems, have had very serious financial problems with extra pay for staffing, extra pay for PPE, and all the additional costs that come with the pandemic. The state has provided $7 million in funding. We need far more than that, but the state has offered $7 million, but said that in order to get the money, we would have to sign an 11-page attestation, which had many stipulations, if you will, tied, to correcting some of the UHIP problems, which have been ongoing since the program began back in 2016. And just on principle, we didn't think that was a good thing to do. The money was from the CARES Act, from the federal government, to go for COVID-19 expenses with no questions asked, no conditions. So while we as an organization protested that in principle, we still, I'm told there were between 35 and 40 homes that still made the application for the money because, quite honestly, a number of those homes need the funding to meet payroll next week. It's that simple.
Yeah, so I know that I did get a copy of the letter because you CC'd the general offices, and that's how I received and got my notification that this was going on. But I don't know if Joan wants to weigh in or on this issue, but I think it's an important one. First of all, our nursing homes and our facilities, our care facilities, are bearing a great deal of responsibility, and they are performing very well under the circumstances. And these resources, to hold back resources based on a prior problem, didn't seem to make sense with me. I think you used the word hostage when you were talking about that on the radio a week ago. So, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
so Joan or Kelly, is that something you want to weigh in on?
Yeah, no, it was, while I appreciate the money being available, I was one of the in principle folks that decided not to apply for the grant money with all of the stipulations that are associated with it. The state is trying to advance some of their own agenda, and I don't think it's appropriate to do with, holding that money hostage with what we need to do, to use the hostage word.
Yes.
Using it as leverage at a very inappropriate time. I mean, I'm very fortunate. My community has not had any COVID, either with residents or staff. I'm going to knock on wood. But just preparing for and ensuring that I do have the appropriate amount of PPE, that my staff is, geared up and ready to go. Just managing all of the activities now. They're much more intensive because they're one-on-one, and having to ramp up staffing for that, and new visitation that's open. We're allowing families back in. That requires a lot of operational management and cost associated with that. Having that money, held up with all these stipulations is shameful, I think, and really believe that our congressional delegation went, a long way trying to get that money for us and secure that money for us, and now have it held up is just not okay.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary time, Joan, and you're doing the work, and there shouldn't be any strings attached to the federal dollars to help you and all the facilities that are providing these services, those resources that you need during this pandemic.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kelly, you want to weigh in at all as well? I appreciate you being here. I'm not sure Kelly's on, but
Oh, 1 second. He's not hearing you for some reason. Lieutenant Governor, can you hear me?
yes, I can, Ben.
Okay, 1 second. I'm trying to
See if we can get Kelly on, and if not, Scott, give us an overview. I'm sure that you want to weigh in a little longer on this. I've actually have a copy of the letter that I wanted to just show people that, these communications came, and I was flabbergasted that we would put a a 2017 problem, a fall 2017 problem that is risen to a level where it's put a lot of pressure on I visited many nursing homes, many of these facilities, met with boards. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars are still owed to some of these facilities.
Yep. You can talk.
Yes. And
Kelly,
and go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You can respond to that, Kelly, please.
Okay. I think I have to say that I don't totally agree with what Joan said. In principle, this was just a bad way to go about this whole thing. We really worked very hard with the federal delegation to get this money, obviously, for the nursing homes are much in need. I am on the other side with Joan, and our buildings did apply for the grant money, basically because of the cash flow needs and the things like that. We might be getting any more. So we were very conscious and really looked at each individual home as we separate, as we operate separately. We made the decision to go ahead and apply. There's a lot of strings attached, but we really did decide that this was something that we had to do. With the cost rising, I've had some homes that have had, like Joan, have had no COVID, and I've had homes hit very, very hard. So we made the decision to go ahead and apply. But I think we all agree with Joan that we disagree with the way that it was handled, for sure.
So Kelly, by you agreeing, have you given up the right to pursue some of the loose ends on the UHIP?
Well, the way we were provided a list from the state, and we checked every one of those cases that they had. We verified that either the applications weren't there, or they were not cases that could be further worked on. So no, in essence, we really didn't in the end. In the cases that I can speak of, we went through a long process, and our company took a lot of time for each individual home to go through those cases and figure out whether or not there was anything there to continue to pursue. So it wasn't only just the principle of the thing. There was a lot of work that went into this to make sure that, we weren't going to lose anything bigger. The other thing we looked at was the auditing process of all of this, which we all have no problem being audited. We know the money needs to be spent where it needs to be spent, but it's going to cost the facilities, a good amount of money to pay for an additional audit for this money too. So again, it was a tough decision to make, but for the homes, some of them need it for cash flow. We just had to make that decision in the long run.
Well, it's uncomfortable circumstances that kind of force your hand, though, Kelly.
A little bit, yeah. You could put it that way.
Yes, Scott. I know that you still have many members that you represent that are still struggling to settle up on UHIP. Is that correct?
Yes, there are a number of homes that the number's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it doesn't look like those are going to be settled anytime soon, and that's an issue. I mean, that's off to the side while people are fighting the pandemic and doing their best to keep residents and staff safe, but they're still trying to keep the doors open based on the financial problems and financial issues that they've been facing for years.
So what do you see? Is there any resolution in sight that's going to be satisfactory to the organizations that you represent?
Not yet. We're continuing to try to work with the state, and we've tried to over the years to continue working with them, and that's why we were quite surprised and taken aback when we saw that this funding was going to be tied to fixing some of the UHIP. And that just really came from left field. And as I say, we thought it was totally inappropriate. And but as both Kelly and Joan pointed out, we were opposed to the principle, but in some cases, many homes had to take advantage of the funding just to keep the doors open.
Yeah, and we're finding that in other areas, Scott. That we're very interested in the small businesses, and we look at the nursing homes as being primarily small businesses in a lot of ways, and we're finding a kind of a little bit of a power play, pitting one business interest against another. So, we just were talking earlier with Stefan about that there's going to be the $50 million of grants. I don't know whether your organizations are going to qualify for those or not, but there's a sense sometimes if I get my piece, then I'm not worried about other people's, problems. I was happy to hear Kelly being supportive of Joan in her comments, because it seemed to work out okay for Kelly in a certain ways, but not Joan in other ways. So, pitting one. That's what we're trying to do, is trying to get a lot of these businesses that across industry lines to be very supportive of one another and not to be separated, on the process. But have you looked into those grants, Scott, to determine whether your group has the ability to participate in those at all?
Not yet. I just saw the information on that today, and but I do believe it's something we need to look into to see if that's available for our homes or even for our association itself. So we'll be
Yeah.
following up on that.
Yeah, so any last words, Joan or Kelly? And I know that you're up against a little bit of a time crunch here, and I apologize for getting you on late, but I mean, certainly if there's more to be discussed in this area, we'd love to have you come back as well. Joan?
Just marching forward, just trying to make sure we can keep all of our doors open here to continue to serve the seniors in our communities.
Yeah, and I know you're doing that, and we got to be very appreciative of that. That's why we got to not make it difficult for you to access any of these funding sources and not put strings on it. Hopefully, they're going to be able to really look at that and understand that that's not a good thing to do. That you can't make a problem go away that exists by trying to cover it with a an offer that puts you in a precarious spot, right? It puts you in a tough spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We appreciate you having us on today.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joan. Thank you, Kelly,
Thank you
and
for your
Scott.
time.
Yeah, and Scott, we'll stay in touch on this issue for sure. And I appreciate you communicating with our office on it, and anything that we can do or any of your correspondence that we can get involved in or work with Joe Walsh, who's, I know that's working with you as an advisor. We'd be happy to do it.
Thank you, Governor. We'll definitely stay in touch.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Ben, if we have Chris or Justin and Laurie still hanging around, we'll bring them on for a couple minutes just to kind of give a 2-minute overview if anybody is still there. If not, then let me know.
All right. Hold on 1 second. I need to fix my audio.
Nope, it's just the two of us.
Just the two of us. All right, then I can kind of just say goodbye. I know we went overtime. Thank you for hanging in there with us. And I want to tell everybody that's watching today that we're going to continue to work on behalf of these small businesses. And if you have questions, whether this new grant program works, whether we didn't get into the technology with the secretary today, we will, some of the loan strategies. But we need to keep on being very aggressive and being professional. But unless we really speak up, you're not going to be heard. And the way to speak up right now is apply for that first phase of the funding. If you do qualify, that's great. If not, then we got to keep on being very aggressively pursuing more help on the grants. And then you're going to hear more about the loan programs that I believe that we should be also implementing. So stay in touch with our office. I want to thank you for listening in to our virtual town hall on small businesses. We'll be back tomorrow night around 7 o'clock on a community conversation. Please join us then. And in the meantime, stay in touch with our office on any issue that relates to the DLT with unemployment, the small businesses with the SBA. Thank you, Mark, for being on today, and Matt as well, and any of the DBR issues. And go to rismallbusiness.org and join the Coalition of Small Businesses in the state of Rhode Island. It's a great organization that is starting, and it's going to really help raise the small business friendliness in the state of Rhode Island. Stay healthy, everybody.